morning, everybody. Of course, it's Labor Day, and okay, you see Frida?
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's how it'll work. So it is Labor Day. This is the holiday edition of Morning Coffee. Catherine Davies is not here today, unfortunately. As you guys know, you probably saw it on Facebook. Her Bill, her husband, his father passed away on Saturday, I believe. So, so that was kind of devastating, and it's taking up their time. So he asked me to jump in, so I had to pull this together last minute. So I thought, what else can we talk about on Labor Day but happiness? So, but before we do that, let me just jump right in and just talk about some of the things that are coming up this month. Of course, every Monday morning you've got Morning Coffee with Catherine Davies, and then every Thursday you're going to have Tech Talk with me. And of course, that starts this Thursday. Can you believe it? The whole summer has gone by so quickly. I don't know what's going on. And then, of course, City Leaders today at 11 o'clock. Sorry, 10:45. The City Leaders have a call today. And then on the Wednesday, September 6th, first Wednesday here in Hamilton. And I know that Alessandra is not going to make it, although it would be fun to see you try to get up on one of those stools. I think it would be enjoyable to watch that. Okay, and then that's first Wednesday, September 6th. Come out for that. Then on first Wednesday is also happening in Brampton. They are doing it at Williams Cafe. That used to be on Tuesdays. Now it's switched over to Wednesdays for first Wednesdays. And then on Thursday, we have, of course, me, which I mentioned. On Monday the 11th, we have the admin panel training for those who haven't. I think everybody here pretty much has been trained on the back end. And then, of course, Simply Networking is happening in Hamilton on the 12th of September at Boston Pizza on Upper James. It's happening in Brantford on the 18th at Eastside Mario's. And it's happening at Boston Pizza in Mississauga on the 18th. Okay, and those are all from 5:30 until 7 o'clock p.m. Then on Sunday, if you're here in Hamilton, or if you're coming by to Hamilton, we have our photo walk, which is happening down at Bayfront Park. I've been asked all summer, are we going to have another photo walk? Well, yes, we're doing it. We're going to do it over at Bayfront Park. So bring your cameras or your cell phones and your love for photography, and let's have some fun shooting some amazing pictures of it might start being fall if we get out of this heat wave. Tuesday the 26th is the Women's Business Club, and they're holding theirs at the Symposium Cafe. All right. And just remember that every Tuesday, which I haven't mentioned it before, but then I got chastised by a member about the fact that I do not remind people about the Christian call that happens every Tuesday at 12 noon. It goes from 12 noon to 1 o'clock. And so it's a Christian Bible study thing. So if you're interested in coming on that, that's a really great chat. And it's nice to see our members showing up for that every now and then. It doesn't happen very often, but when they do, it's nice. So thank you so much. All right.
Can I just put in here? So if we're going to Bayfront instead of our usual spot over by Williams, maybe we could go, I could arrange for us to go to the club afterwards.
Yeah.
I could probably get us into the club. And I mean, you don't have to drink alcohol. You can drink, they'll have coffee, tea, and like non-alcoholic stuff too. So
cool.
Yeah. If we're not a huge number, I don't think it'd be any problem. I haven't been all summer myself, but I'm going either way, but
well, you know what, to end a photo walk at the yacht club, I won't complain. So yes,
I can't get you on the docks themselves, but
no, on a boat,
but I can get you in the clubhouse.
Anyway, we'll work it out.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so today, listen, guys, so let me ask you this. Here's the riddle. You're miserable without it, but once you get it, you'll be happier if you give it away. What is it?
Happiness, because it's on your
Okay. You're miserable without it, but once you get it, you're happier when you give it away. What do you think that is?
Yeah.
Of course, Sean would say the Holy Spirit, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Well, your background kind of gives it away.
Yeah,
Plus,
yeah.
plus, there's actually an old song I remember from camp. Happy. It's like no, it's actually love, not happiness. That's with that song.
Yes.
And things like it's like a magic penny. Hold on tight, and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, and you'll have so many roll all over the floor. Something like that.
Remember that. That's good. Maggie,
Yeah, old camp song.
of course. Everybody remembers camp. Okay, so I know you're not going to figure it out, so here it
I
is.
think it's love.
Love? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, miserable. That's true. Okay, so
Yeah.
there are a few things. It actually comes down to money. Money,
Oh,
right? So
okay.
new research shows that the richer we get, the less happy we become. A study published in the 2020 Journal of Nature Human Behavior found that once we reach a certain household income, which is 105,000 for Americans and 95,000 for Canadians and the rest of the world, more income tended to be associated with a reduced life satisfaction and lower level of well-being. All right, if you can believe that, I know. We're thinking, I don't buy it, but it's true. This is research. And it's not just adults who are impacted by this phenomenon. Children who come from affluent families are more likely to suffer from depression, anxiety, substance abuse than those that come from less affluent families. That's research showing that. Okay. The problem with this, of course, is that plenty of research shows that that most material possessions do not make us happier. Believe it or not. Instead, it's things like experiences and having more time to do things we love and spending time with people we love that drive happiness. The deepest pleasures are derived from interpersonal love, warm relationships, giving, appreciation, gratitude. Can you imagine that giving is in there? Giving makes you feel good. How many people know the last time that you gave somebody something, you felt good about it?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, maybe.
Well, depends on who it is.
It depends on, yeah, for sure.
Like
But
I love giving presents to my grandson.
but I mean, this is kind of sounds a little biblical here, but here's the thing. We we give things to people that we are close to, like our children and our grandkids and everything else, but that's kind of normal. But there's a special feeling that you get when you give things to you selflessly. You give something to somebody that you don't know, right? Where have anybody ever paid it forward? You paid something for the guy behind you in the drive-through or whatever it is, and you drive away, you kind of feel good, right?
Yep, feel good all day.
Right? Doesn't it feel good?
Yep.
So and it doesn't matter whether or not they appreciate it, like because you don't see their reaction to it. You just do something nice for somebody and it just feels good, right? And the reason why I came up with this question is this: all summer long, I have been dealing with different people who are struggling with happiness. Things are going on crazy in the world's crazy, and they're looking to find out and these are business people. They run their own business and they're doing okay, but there's some are not doing as much as well as others. But the bottom line is there is this thing that says that they're not really feeling happy, right? They're more stressed. They're more worried about different things. They're not doing the individual things in their daily lives or their weekly lives to make them happy. Now, what are your thoughts on that? What are you observing out there in society, or among your family and your friends, or even your personal self, as it comes to happiness? Anyone can just shout it out.
So here's what I'll say. Dealing mortgages, I deal with people from all kinds of income brackets. And I think there's something, and I'm sure a lot of people will disagree, but there's almost like a less is more mentality sometimes, because I've got clients that make well over 300 grand a year, and a lot of them are miserable because those kinds of jobs come with, there's no free time because they're very demanding. They're very high up positions, and They just never have enough. They never have enough time. They never have enough money. They never have enough anything, right? Whereas some of my clients in the lower income brackets, they're happy just that they have, whatever amount left over when all the bills are paid. But then they have the time, and they have time to spend with their families and their friends. And they're like, you know what? I'm just happy to have what I have. And I don't feel like I need more, and we're good.
Yeah, isn't that fascinating? Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I was that was good, by the way. Yes, less is more a lot of the times. But I was watching a show on longevity on Netflix, The Blue Zones.
Yes,
I'm
Sean,
sure,
mention that.
yeah, right. And with Dan Buettner,
Yeah,
and yeah, he's showing you like the things we have in our minds sometimes, like a quick fix mentality. That doesn't work. See, a lot of simplicity is the brilliance of life, because even though they don't have a lot in those blue zones, what they do have is priceless. Like the community thing, everyone cares for one another, serving one another. And they don't have a lot of the excesses we have here, the abundance, but yet they're outliving us by 20, 15 years.
yeah,
And not just longevity, but quality of life, not just quantity, but their quality.
that's right.
Right. Right. So we got a lot to learn from that. And simplicity is you can't overlook that.
Yeah, to add to that, there's a guy who said that he went to Europe, right? And the European lifestyle is a lot different than our lifestyle here, because their lifestyle is more centered in some places, more centered around family and being out and enjoying traveling around Europe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And it's not as focused on the, you ever see that movie Wall Street or Shark Tank? It's not based on that. That's still a mentality that we have here, where we want to work hard to get to a certain destination where we'll have the money and that we can do the things that we want to do, because then that will make us happy. Typically it doesn't. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, so my attitude has always been that my job or my business is the means to fund my life. And once I've accumulated that money, I want to spend the rest of the time living my life. Now, that doesn't mean I might not have to work long hours or whatever, but that's only a means to meet a goal.
Right. Yeah, I get you, right? And so I love the pursuit of happiness, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. No problem, Frida. And the thing is, the pursuit of happiness is almost like it's almost like a ruse. You know what I mean? Because happiness is 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 a potential in every moment. Do you know what I mean? You can have happiness right now. We're sitting here, we're having a great time here on this call, talking about happiness. And if you have, I find that sorry, I find that happiness is we tend to make it we react to something, right? So something makes us happy. I go down to Grandad's Donuts, I get myself one of their, chocolate eclairs, and I'm gonna react to that and be happy for about 3 minutes, right? Then after that, I need another shot of dopamine. I need another, something else to make me happy, right? I need to see a check come through. I need to see, whatever, right? To make me happy. But there's something fundamental about happiness, because I think that we don't get it. There's something that there are people that are happy, right? They're just happy people. They have a certain amount of joy in their lives, right? That it doesn't matter about the highs and low. Their operating system, that arc of their lives is happiness. And they bring happiness to other people, and other people like having them around. What do you think is the difference between those that have happiness as a reaction to something, and those that have an operating system, a fundamental level? They are happiness. They live happiness in their life. What do you think that is?
Well, sir, I saw consistency in that show, that they were all faith-based communities. And they had an expectation beyond this life. Right? So it wasn't just, oh, I'm gonna eat, drink, and be merry, and just enjoy and be hedonistic in this life, because that's all they were rather self-controlled and calibrated in their way of life, but they had a ton of happiness, and they didn't have the excesses we have. But you see that comes into play, right? Is if the mindset is this is all there is, and we become worm food, you're gonna live recklessly a lot of the times. You are. So,
Well,
and
you
it,
know,
yeah.
and the thing I liked about that show is that it wasn't all Christian faith-based, right? It was you know, there's some Buddhists, and there was some other things in there that I thought the fundamentals are there. I get what you're saying, but I find that uh those that are that prioritize certain things like family, you know, God, um just but really work, you know, like how many people know people who have relatives, you know, close relatives, brothers, sisters, moms, dads, you know, cousins, where there's antagonism between them. There's a, you know, there's this current of, you know, and there's not a spirit of let's resolve this because we're family, because you know the family bond is really critical, just because that's the thing that's gonna, when you get in trouble, who do you go to? You know, your friends aren't going to be there for you. Everything, you know, they might, but typically you fall back on family, right? So I find that is interesting. But I just want to read this thing. It says University of Minnesota, in their article on how nature impacts our well-being, says that being in nature, or even viewing scenes of nature, right, right, it reduces anger, fear, stress, and increases pleasant feeling, right? Exposure to nature not only makes you feel better emotionally, it contributes to your physical well-being, reducing blood pressure, heart rate, muscle tension, and the production of stress hormones, okay? Therefore, we should be good stewards of our natural system and spend time out there. How many people have gone out into nature at least once this summer and actually just enjoyed nature? Have you? Okay, wonderful. Okay, good for you. Right on. I know Maggie has. She's always traveling out there. But the bottom line is, no nature? No, not so much.
Not a lot, not as much as I used to, or as much as I like, you know, because where I'm staying right now, there's, you know, it's right downtown. I mean, sure, there's a park and stuff, but you know, whereas places I'd lived before, nature was right. I mean, I had backyards and things. So yeah, you know, like at Linda's, I was always out in the backyard. I did have my meetings out there even, and sitting at the back table. And
well, you know, I don't know if this is true or not. I saw this guy, he had this meter that recorded the ohms or whatever it is that he was talking about in the ground. He said, you know, that basically your body has, you know, runs on electricity basically. But when you take your shoes off and you walk on the ground, or if you lean up against a tree or whatever it is, it actually helps to recalibrate your electrical system.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So the longer that you're out there with your shoes off, walking in nature, or against a tree or whatever it is, the more, you know, just think about it, that whatever your thoughts are about how nature and humans either were created or evolved, there is something that is very, very necessary about spending time in that nature. All right.
Yeah.
So it's so important. It's like it's like it was created for us, right? We weren't. It's almost like without it, we're gonna have more illness, you know, lower death, you know, death rate, etc. Right? Which is kind of a fascinating thing. I want to tell you something. This is so happiness, among 31 potential sources of happiness, people across the world are most likely to say they derive from the greatest happiness from. And I'm just going to read these out to you. These are the things that they say that they get the greatest happiness from. Physical health and well-being. I mean, the thing that causes the most discomfort for anybody mentally is if their body is not functioning properly and they're not sure if they're going to ever recover, right? So physical health and well-being, mental health and well-being, relationship with partner or spouse, feeling my life has meaning, it's 49%. Children comes after that, which is interesting. Living conditions, personal safety and security, feeling in control of my life, being in nature, having a meaningful job or employment, and then having more money. The thing I found the most amazing thing about that, this is actually in order, right? So 54% said physical health and well-being, 53 mental health, 49 was relationship, partner or spouse, 49 feeling that my life has meaning, 48 children, 47 living conditions, 46 is personal safety and security, 44 feeling in control of my life, 43 is being in nature, 42 is having a meaningful job or employment, and 42 is having more money, right? So think about all the things that people recognize are greater than their need for money, right? So, but what's funny is that most of our days are either spent trying to get more money or thinking about more money. Right? Most of our days are not spent on the things that that we need to spend our time on to have that happiness. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think one of the things too is, they say money can't buy happiness, but without it, you don't. If you don't have the very least the necessities, and with the economy the way it is right now, it's getting harder and harder to have those necessities, and that can make you miserable. So yeah, money, it can buy a certain level of happiness, maybe not entirely, but I'm sorry, but it does, just because you need that to buy security and things like that. And not as far as the spouse or partner thing, whatever, as far as that goes, I mean, not everybody necessarily wants to be attached. I'm single and I have every intention of staying that way. I admit there are times, I wish I was in a relationship, but for the most part, too damn much trouble. But that's me personally. Other people, it's their major thing and they're happy and that's great. So I think it all depends on the individual, but you do need a certain level of money to survive in our world. It's unfortunate, but you do.
So what you're saying is that without money, you're miserable. Okay. What are your thoughts, Peter?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely until you're at least meeting the minimum needs, that's going to be on your mind and kind of preclude happiness as the default option. Once you've achieved that, then you can spend more effort on pursuit of happiness, to borrow your phrase. But the only people I see who say things like money doesn't matter are people who already have money. I don't think anybody else really can afford that sentiment.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. But based on that study, it it's talking about $96,000. It's $8,000 a month is what you need to make to so anywhere up to $8,000, that's something that you need, right? Because they're saying that those that make more than that, then they start to have diminishing return when it comes to happiness. They start to have more stresses in their lives, etc. Right? So to earn $8,000 gives you a $96,000 salary. You could probably live pretty decently on that, right? And that would probably give you enough money to $8,000 a month to pay your mortgage, to pay your car bill, to take a vacation every year, to live your life. That's if you and your partner are making that kind of money, right? So, but it's when you're saying, no, I want to make, you know, $1 million. I want to be a millionaire. It's when you start striving for those things, and money becomes your focus, right? Not family, not happiness. It's money, and money becomes the focus, not your health. Right? It's money. Go ahead, John.
Right. So you know, you want that safety net to have that assurance that your essentials will be provided, because that your survival is dependent on that. You can die if you don't have the essentials, right? So that fear of dying sometimes can create a lot of stress and manifests as in health problems and whatnot, mental health and whatnot. And that's going to affect your happiness. That's going to affect your quality of life. But once those needs are met, then contentment is also part of happiness, because if you're chasing things that are not essential, it's a never-ending thing, because the appetite for that stuff, where does it end? Right? It's going to be like a continual thing. It's never going to be satisfied. So there has to be. That's why I brought up that consistency in their show, because that's why they're so content. They see there's something better than this life, and so they can be content with what they have, just the essentials, food, shelter, and stuff like that, and not lose their happiness, even though they're aware that people around the world are rich.
Yeah.
Much more richer than them, but they're still happy and they're not losing their contentment, right? So, and they're secure.
Okay, so let's okay, so about the show. If people don't know, there's a show called Live to 100 or something. I don't remember, something along those lines. It's on Netflix, and where they've gone through blue zones. I think there's 7 blue zones in the world, including you know, Okinawa, Japan, and Sardinia, wherever, like all these places, right? And the thing that leads people to live longer, it seems to be a combination of faith, family, and food, and exercise, which doesn't start with F. So I left that one out. But anyway, so faith, family, food, and frolicking. No, exercise. Okay, so there you go. So basically, and it adds 7 to 12 years more to your life. And so these people tend to live over 100 years old, and at 100, they're still out there doing their thing. They're driving, they're walking, they have a house with stairs. They still climb the stairs. They still do all their banking and stuff. And you know, I know a lot of people that are 100 that can't move. Right? So there are choices that are being made in your life that lead to, you know, being, you know, in a chronic condition, which adds stress, which then continues to break your body down because of the stress, right? So so it's an interesting exploration into what these people do. And the thing that surprises me the most about it is that their lives seem to move slower, right? So, you know, like with me, it's like, okay, I get up in the morning, I got to get out to do this, I got to go here, do that, do that, and so that's a hum of activity in the day that I need to have. But these folks, they just seem to spend a lot more time being thoughtful and deliberate about what they feed themselves, right? Food, you know, the exercise that they set, you know, they carve out time for exercise, they carve out time for faith, they carve out time for different things, right? Alessandra is about to have her first of many, I hope, her first of many rugrat there, and so, you know, when she has about 5, you know, then you know, but think about this. I mean, right now, I know that when I was having my, you know, we were having our first child, you know, in your head, you're thinking, oh man, I want to spend every day with this child, helping them mold their thinking and everything else. But then, you know, life happens. And, you know, yesterday, I think I was looking over at Tanis, and there she is on her device. Well, I'm on my device, and we're, you know, I'm struggling to get things done quickly. And you're forgetting the fact that the things that lead to happiness and longevity are the things where you stop and I mean, you can't do it all the time, but as much as possible, you have to spend that time. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you believe it's possible for people that are married to be lonely? They're married, they're in the same house. Is it possible to be lonely because everyone's busy doing their thing, right? And so, and does that not cause a little bit of stress in, where you're thinking, I need to get this done so that I can have more time, so I can spend time with my family? Your thoughts?
Well, again, I see a lot of things, and I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, but you can, when you're meeting with clients, you can pick up on things. And I think from what I see, it's kind of heartbreaking because you see two people that obviously still love each other very much, but you see one who has taken on so much more than the other.
Mhm.
And sometimes that's not as appreciated as it should be, or it's not as divided as equally as it should be, because both people are very busy, but one is still picking up all the slack, right? So it's not even just loneliness, there's a lot of resentment that comes with it. Because oftentimes if clients are in debt because something happened, and I'm not here to judge, like things happen, people's basements flood, they need to do renovations, all kinds of things. But then when you kind of see debt because of whatever reason, it's like, oh, that resentment starts to bubble up in a client interview, and it's like, whoa, let's take a step back. Like this happened, and we're not laying blame on anyone.
That's right.
Like it's not because one of you wasn't doing whatever. It's just, things happened in life. We're going to move on from it, and let's not dwell on what happened, but here's what we can do better moving forward.
Yeah.
Right. But again, it's kind of that thing where it's like, you can kind of pick up when someone's having those feelings when they talk about what happened and stuff. And it's like, okay, there's a lot happening here, and I'm sorry that you're going through this.
Yeah. And the thing is, because of that, you get polarized, which leads to loneliness, which leads to increased stress, which leads to bad health, right? And then more stress, and then more bad health, right? So it's funny how these little things, and sometimes we're in it, Sandra, we're in it, and the conflict is real. It's today, and we don't think about how the decisions that we make on how we resolve it or how we deal with that issue is going to be beneficial for us in the long run, right? When it comes to health, right? When it comes to happiness overall.
And I think another thing to keep in mind for something like that, it's hard because, like, I know when Josh and I got married, our church made us go through like a marriage prep course.
Yes.
And they focused very heavily on love languages and what is compatible and what is not. So I think sometimes people will go into a relationship and they won't recognize what their love language actually is, because what I thought mine was turns out it's not.
Oh.
And it's interesting to see, because then you look at your relationship through a whole new lens, and you're just like, oh, that's why that didn't work for me, that's why we're not communicating properly, because we're focusing on the wrong things altogether.
Yeah.
And that can make a huge difference for a lot of people.
Yeah. I think that what this study that I went through shows is that it doesn't matter whether you're married or you're single. It doesn't matter whether you run a business or you don't. There's some fundamental things that you need to be happy. It's just some fundamental things. And one of those is healthy relationships, which means family relationships, friendships, like really good friendships that you can count on to be there, people to share, parts of your life with. You really need that. People that are married tend to be happier overall, no matter what, because you have somebody that bears witness of your life. It's nice to have people who you can refer to any point in your history and go, remember this, remember this. But when you have no one that's around you to recall things with you, it's a really hard thing. It's funny that we also have a focus here in North America on achieving and making money and all that stuff. It says, according to a story in the Harvard Business Review, half of CEOs from the CEO Snapshot survey reported experiencing feelings of loneliness in their roles. Some of the first-time solo entrepreneurs have reported feeling this more acutely than others. In the self-employment review conducted by Julie Dean, the founder of Cambridge Satchel company in the UK, isolation was cited as one of the biggest challenges faced by business owners and solo traders, with almost 30% respondents saying that it was either a big problem or something of a problem, which is like, you have a business and you could be married, but you're in the office while the family is doing family things and connecting and all that stuff. You're isolated, and so you don't actually participate in those things that you should, right? You know, family's going to go out, and you go, you know what, I can't go out with you. I need to stay here and get this work done. So they go out and they build family relationships and family bonds, etc. And you don't, because you are isolated. You know, what are your thoughts? Sorry, what was that? Sorry.
I was just going to say something that some entrepreneurs never quite get is you're never going to do everything you think needs to be done. And I can think of one person I've known personally who every time he had one more idea that he thought would be good, he just tacked that on as something he would do. And his days got longer and longer. So it was like 7 a.m. at the office and still there at 12 or 1 a.m. in the morning. So the thing is, you need to recognize that you can't do everything anyways, and you're going to have to make choices. In which case, since you know you can't do everything, you might as well make the choice of having a cutoff on when you're not going to do anything more, whether the day ends at 5 p.m. or the weekend is sacrosanct. It doesn't matter. You can't do everything anyways, so he's well decide at what point you're going to cut it off.
It's very good. So, you know, what you're saying is that you can say, look, I'm going to work up to 6 o'clock, and then that's it. No one, I don't care. You're not paying me extra to work at 8 o'clock at night. I'm going to work until 6 o'clock, and that's my day. That's it, right? Of course, there are extenuating circumstances, right? But really, if you do that, then you have to figure out what you're doing with your time from 6 o'clock until 9:30, 10 o'clock, whenever it is that you're going to end your day and go to sleep, right? So that you do all the things that are going to recharge your batteries for the next day, that night, right? And on the weekends, of course, you know, those of us that do church, it's nice to know that the weekend comes and there's a day that we set aside, and that's it. We're not, I don't care who you are, you're not calling me on that day, right? You know, Sabbath comes along and everybody knows, just leave me alone. I'm not going to answer your call, but if I do, I will give you righteous indignation. You know, a little bit of rough, right? But here's the thing: if you were to say every Sunday, let's say every Sunday, I'm going to take my family out in the summer, and we're going to go for a walk every Sunday. We're going to spend that time, and it's just going to be, it's not just a quick half an hour or half an hour. And I'm not going to talk about business, right? Teresa can tell you that when we first met, man, I talked about business for 12 years, nonstop, right? She goes, how are you, honey? I really love you. Do you know what I was thinking about building the business? I think I could, you know, that kind of thing, right? It's just nonstop, right? And Alexander, when you started your mortgage company, you probably talked about that all the time, right?
I'm actually really lucky, and I was going to make this point too. It's hard because we think that when we go self-employed, we can figure this out. We can do it all on our own. You can't. You can't. You're still new. And even if you've had experience working for another person's company, you don't know what to expect. You just don't. It's like anything else in life. Like, yeah, you think, oh, I'm gonna move out of my mom and dad's house and this is gonna be great. This is my budget, until your car breaks down, and then you're like, oh, well, I didn't account for that because I didn't count on that happening. But now you know, right? But it's the same thing in business. I think having that mentorship, whether it's through a networking group like ours or having someone who's been in your industry for a long time, it goes a long way in helping you create those boundaries of you can only do what you can do.
That you can
There's only
do.
sorry, so there's only so many hours in a day, and they're not all for business.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So you can only do what you can do. Now, listen, there's an alternative, right? You run a business or what? You get a job, right? You run a business or you get a job. Both will take you to happiness if you want to, right? It's like people always say, I don't know if he's the right one for me. You know, yeah, everybody's the right one for you. Like it doesn't matter, right? It's a choice. It's not, this whole, oh, I feel the love. You know what? After about 20 years of being married, it becomes about commitment. It comes about a choice, right? So just make a choice and then stick to it. When it comes to working for somebody, then you make the choice. I'm going to work for this person and I'm going to pursue happiness. Don't go there and start griping about it. Just do the job, right? If you're going to run a business, then do the business. Do it, right? Do it from 9 to 5, just like you're running a business. Don't do it from 9 till 11 and then take 2 hours off at Granddad's Donuts and then work from 3 to, felt 4 and then say, okay, I'm done, I'm tired. That's not going to work, right? So at the end of the day, you just have to commit. And then once you made a decision, don't gripe about it. Just get it done, right? And then once you have certainty, I find that the next thing that I want to talk about is mental preparedness for running a business while you live your life, right? Because at the end of the day, running your business is not your life. It's something that you do, while you're living your life. So if you're prepared for it, if you actually, I always say, know thyself, right? You have to know yourself. Alessandra just said that too, right? That if you know who you are and you know the things that trigger you, and then you need to build a business that's going to align more with the way that you are so that you can actually live a harmonious life, where everything kind of vibrates at the right frequency so that you can have the best possible life going, right? And that's basically it. Just you know yourself, you do the job, and you focus on the main things. And in a second, I see Sean. In a second, I'm going to have you guys tell me, for you, what are the top 3 most important things that you know that you need to focus on over the next month, so that you can have a well-rounded life. I know what Alessandra's going to be focusing over the next month. But go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, a good example came to mind of Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Right? Like he had and he wasn't reckless. Like he had a ton of advisors advising him, hey, take some time off, go do this, right? Because he's surrounded by a lot of wise men. What field, regardless of the field, medical, and because he's very rich, right? So, and yet, at the end of his life, he wasn't happy. He micromanaged a lot of his life.
Yeah.
But see, there was still this yearning there. And a lot of it, he said in his memoirs, he said he wished he could have been kinder and stuff. And like that kind of stuff, be more servant minded.
Yeah, no.
Right? And that's what he said. I mean, and he's one of the world's richest men.
Yeah.
So he didn't have the happiness, right? And he did make time for family. He did. He made time to eat well. He ate vegan.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. I think that what happened was I think his mistake was that he decided when he got his diagnosis not to take the treatment immediately, because he thought that he's going to eat his way to health, right? So he gave himself that extra year, and during that year, the cancer was way too aggressive. There's nothing he could have done, right? Because sometimes we think that we have poor financial habits, we've had poor eating habits, we have poor relational habits, right? And we think that, oh, okay, if my partner comes to me and says, I want a divorce, Bob, that I can immediately change the way I am and be the man that she wants me to be, right? No, you can't, because it's or I'm going to eat my way to health now that I figure I've got cancer, or I'm going to do things differently. You know what I mean? It's just not going to work. It's like, if you don't work out and all of a sudden, there's a tsunami coming for you, and you think, oh, we got to run and head to the hills. Your family is booking it; they're way ahead of you, and you're like panting like crazy, going, you know, are you gonna make? It's not the time then to think about working out. Right? It's like, this is where you have to prepare your lives for whatever is going to happen. So you want to live the longest, be healthier the longest, and you want to be financially secure the longest, right? So those are critical for happiness. They're critical for happiness. All right, so let's quickly go around the room and just give me the top 3 things that you think for the next month that you need to focus on to have a balanced life. Go ahead, Peter.
So obviously I got to get the work that I've been assigned from clients done, and I'll be stressed out if I don't do that and please people. You mentioned eating habits. I definitely need to improve mine. I've worked a little bit towards that, but I want to do a more comprehensive job on that. And similarly, I had a good exercise regime before the COVID thing, but I kind of fell out of it and I still haven't gotten back into it. And with the summer waning, I haven't really gotten out as much as I should. So I really want to walk the trails a little bit and do the nature thing that we were talking about earlier. So I guess those are my 3 things that I need to do.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, Sean, how about you?
Yeah. I need to sort of probably be diet, one of them. I need to address my some of my blood work, I guess my health markers. Yeah, some of them are a bit off range, and yeah, I got to be more like serving my community and whatnot, involved in such volunteer and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Alessandro.
Probably mental health.
I hear you. Okay.
With not knowing obviously how things are going to go, like I'm big on planning, and this is something that I struggle with because I can't plan this next big step, right? Like there's so many things that could happen or could not happen, and that's been hard for me. So I've had to take a step back and say, okay, you know what? No, I can't plan this, but it's not the end of the world because you can't plan everything in life. Does that work for me every day? No, but we're trying.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Okay, Maggie.
Oh boy. So many things. Just I have to kind of get my life a little more stable than it is. Everything is, and I have to make some major decisions. That's got to be one of the biggest things because everything's been like this whole summer's been up in the air, and I feel like I've been pulled in a few different directions, and I really have to make some decisions. Am I going to stay down here? Am I going to settle somewhere else? Or am I going to go totally on the road? And how am I going to finance that? That's got to be, that is, I mean, I've been struggling with it all summer, and I've been stagnating a bit too much. So there's that. I do need to get really focused too on getting more work wherever that happens to take me. Really need to focus on that. I haven't, because I've been so stressed about the other stuff, I really haven't been focusing as much on my own work as I should. Not only, getting more clients, but also even just my own writing and just my own, I'm working on a screenplay. I really want to get that done because if I do, if I can sell it, then, that's going to be a major thing. So, there's like, that's pretty much, I've really just got to start focusing. And I think I do need to get out in nature and do things a little more. Not even just nature, but just getting out and, doing the things that I enjoy. Um,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And I don't always do that. I need definitely changing a lot of things in my mindset and stuff. That's going back to some ways, almost in some ways, I'm almost going to be retreating, but that's a good thing. Retreating to days when I did just do stuff. You know?
Well, you know what? Listen, I totally hear you on that. You know, it's when you get to a certain age, you're fighting against the way that your body naturally, starts to shut down.
Mhm.
Your body goes, okay, all right, time to, get ready for the next phase, right? So you are constantly fighting. You don't realize it, and then you realize, man, in my 40s, I should have spent more time, getting ready for this, so
Yeah.
that because things just start to not. Like before, I could just eat and become a little overweight, and then work out for an afternoon, and bang, I'm buff, right? Not anymore. It's like way harder than normal, right? So
Yeah.
kind of an interesting thing. Teresa, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, fire away.
So, I would say organization over the next little bit because my schedule's changed quite a bit and is changing currently. My communication, so obviously family, business, customers, vendors, pretty much the whole gamut of people. And then sleep. So I think sleep is really important. A lot of people don't get the adequate amount of sleep. I definitely don't. So I just want to make sure that I do get that sleep so that it gives my brain clarity and allows my body to heal itself better.
Absolutely. Well, we didn't need to touch on that. Sleep is a big one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, well, listen, I hope, again, I hope that you enjoyed the conversation today. I hope that it helps you to understand happiness and how important it is. If you get a chance, look at that show on Netflix. It's excellent. I thought it was excellent. I've learned a lot, but there's commonalities throughout all of them, right? There's things that are common through all of them. Of course, check out episode 2, the last half. Sean's going to smile about this because that speaks about the Seventh Adventists in Loma Linda, California, which is another blue zone. So definitely check that out. And hopefully everything's going to work out for Catherine, and she will be back next week to take over again. Listen, if you guys are around on Thursday, please join me. Tech Talk is coming up. All right, and I will see the city leaders in 15 minutes, and I look forward to it. Everybody have an amazing day. Take care. Thanks.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy your long weekend.